Hi guys, I'm Simon and I have Joshua here with me.
Hi guys.
Yeah, so I'm a web developer by profession, right? And Joshua being my friend called me like sometime 2 years ago, right? He sounded very excited on the phone and was like, Simon, I've got this amazing idea, right? There's this problem I'm experiencing, right? And I would like to do something about it. So I was like, okay. I mean, Joshua being Joshua. So I'm like, tell me about it, right? So Joshua, what was it about? What was that problem and how did it all start?
Yeah, it started in 2021, 2 years ago, like we said, around September. I reached out to Simon. But prior to that, I had, gotten into graphic design and, copywriting. And it was during this stint that I came into contact with this frustration that graphic designers and consequently, um, providers of creative services that they seem to encounter when it comes to pricing. And there's this general consensus that graphics design, copywriting, and practically most creative services are high-ticket courses or
Yeah.
skills, basically. So that means that you make a ton of money from it. But pretty much from what I saw, there was not, I could not really see that much profit being made by people around me. And of course, because I was not just learning, I was also practicing, working with people. I mean, there was not, I could not really see anybody making tremendous profits. Not only that, I also was, involved in a lot of courses. Like I said, I was learning a number of quad classes, and I remember one in particular by Victory Maxon. It was a quad class on closing, and after some time, attending classes, he mentioned something about how a lot of graphic designers, fail woefully with the, high tickets, and then they're, charging 2,000 naira for a logo, which was quite common.
Wow, that is extremely low.
Yeah. So, to a very large extent, these things were really disappointing, and yeah, I just had to really ask myself that what exactly is wrong. Like, I mean, what's the problem? And yeah, that was pretty much the bulk of it. Um, So at the end of figuring out what the problem was with pricing, I realized that nobody had a clear cut strategy on how to set their prices,
Okay.
and most of the time they just came up with prices arbitrarily. You understand? Slap a price on their service, all logos 2,000 naira or 5,000 naira. I've seen as low as 500 naira.
Wow.
Yeah. So but then so it's either you find that or you find people, basing their price on, how much time they have spent, which was really common and almost in like the more advanced ones used, time as their metric for pricing,
Okay.
nothing more. Um and on the other end, and this was quite troubling, that you know, I noticed that nobody taught the right thing. Like, of course, looking at how everybody priced to understand the problem, and then looking, okay, fine, is there anybody saying anything about it? There was nobody talking about pricing. Nobody. You see courses, a lot of courses on marketing and getting in customers and boosting your skills, which was very common among graphic designers. You improved your skills so much. But then, like, um, the very point where your skill and value is appreciated, and you
Yes.
understand, nobody talks about that. And it kind of made sense that since nobody was teaching it, nobody was learning it, and so everybody just did it the way they felt was okay. Yeah, so
Yes, I can actually relate, right? As a web developer, I think that also falls under the creative services category.
yeah,
Yes. And pricing and getting the right value for a product is always like ASO is always a problem, right?
that's true.
And I realized it actually takes skill to be able to charge customers efficiently, right, for your services. So, given all this, how did it motivate you to come up with the course?
Yeah, at that point, my motivation was to figure out how to price the right way,
Okay.
and at least bring back that high ticket identity. You understand? Like, it's really sucked to, see people put in so much effort and time, learning a skill,
Yeah.
and then they get paid peanuts. So, yeah, throw caution into the wind and, sit back, learn all you need to know, figure out the right way to do it,
Yes.
and let people in on it. I mean, that's the goal basically, to restore that image of
Okay.
this IT kid skill, and let people in on it. Let them get value. I mean, let them get paid right for the value they deliver. Do you understand?
Yes. So where did that lead you to?
Research, like, and there was not that much to find at first. For example, on YouTube, I mean, where most creative service providers, go to for their resources. Yeah, I mean, everybody's, and it's really good. I mean, and going on that platform and not really finding that much resource. Basically, it was practically only Chris Do. As at that time, it was only Chris Do that I think was describing price in a way that was different from what every other person was doing.
Okay.
And because the nature of his YouTube channel, The Future, I mean, he's more focused on many other things than pricing specifically. So there was not much, and also he had he had courses too about pricing.
Yes.
And you can imagine he was not going to give you every single thing you needed about price. And yeah, it's pretty much revealed more of the problem where it was really coming from, that there was a huge gap between how those people that communicate, that teach, you understand, and those that would use it basically when it came to pricing. And
I guess the price of such courses would have also been points of concern.
Yes, exactly. Because I wanted to also take the courses then, but I mean, they were pretty much too much in my pockets at that point in time. And not only that, some of them were physical, so I was not able to pretend. Exactly. So but interestingly, it gave me a template to work with. Finally I found something that's different from what everybody has been saying. And he described it in a way that worked. At least the little pretty significant parts that he described about price were fine. And then that pretty much led me to streamline. I know what to look for. I know what works, because he was not just teaching theory. I mean, it was what he practiced and what he also he invited a number of people in some of his podcasts. You understand? And these people talk about the same principles of pricing. And but in the end, all this led me to okay, fine. Now I know what to look for when it comes to how to price correctly. You understand? And not only that, I also realized that it was not exactly graphic designer's problem. Because at that time, I was more focused. I think you remember I came at it for graphic design. I realized it was not exactly graphic designer's problem alone. It was more for creative services generally. So it's like, what would work, same principle, you understand, as guiding the complexity of how to price as a graphic designer.
Okay.
The same thing that transcends through pretty much every other creative service. So it was like, wow, this is much bigger than I imagined. You understand? And it took a lot of time, effort. Not only that, interestingly, I found out that it was not just about price. I mean, it's really interesting. It transcends into value, basically. And in the real sense, price is just the economic estimation of value.
Okay.
You understand? Putting a number to value. So you cannot have price without value, essentially. So then, from that also, I was able to say, wow, even value is pretty much as bad as, people do not exactly pay that much attention to value. They pay attention to the skill, you understand, but not to the value. And because of the way value is pretty much determined by the customer, not you, the service provider. You understand? So that shifted a lot of perspectives.
What was your experience like during the research?
Interesting. So it was long. It was hard work. It was.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was. It was interesting to, reading through books, going through research papers and all these things. And I found out that it was complex. I mean, it was highly theoreticized. Do you understand? And I think just a few of them were a little bit more explicit, more descriptive in the way they did things. So interestingly, my experience in medical school helped me, or my experience in medical school has really helped me in this, because it has helped me to, take the very complex things and break it down into very simple things. And I mean, as medical practitioners, you deal with very complex things. You have to explain to your patients, and for you to explain to your patients, you have to break it down into simple terms. So to a very large extent, it's really, it taught me how to do it, and it pretty much helped me to also break it down. And I think you remember sometimes, after coming up with the script, I have to come and meet you, and how exactly do I break this down?
So simplify it so that people can understand better.
Exactly. So sometimes you spend days on a single topic, trying to figure out, okay, what is the best way to bring it down. So there was, and also I found that this I had to balance between breaking down into very simple things that people can understand without changing the description of what was being talked about, and at the same time making sure it's as applicable as possible.
Yes.
So to a very large extent, it was structured in a way that it's really conversational. There were parts of the course that you had to, as much as imagine. How would sometimes put yourself in the position of someone that has a client? How would you talk to a client, basically? And so basically, so those things I was quite invested into, to make sure the course was okay. So it was epic, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
I can recall having to put myself in the position of a creative service provider, right? And looking at how the information in the course, right, could be applicable to me in talking to my clients, right, and in quantifying value and setting price, right. So I was able to keep you in check and to make sure that we kept the course as applicable to the users as possible, right? Because I was coming from a place of my own experience. Yes. So I'm a creative service provider, right? What will I get from the course? What benefits will I get from the course?
I'll start by saying that 12 modules have been able to summarize or discuss the basics of pricing and value.
Okay.
You understand? We cannot exactly exclude value from it. And the basic is actually an understatement, basically. I mean, it's sufficient for you to actually start making exponential profits. You understand? And we have simplified the descriptions, of complex things like we talked about, so that you don't have to really cram the details. I mean, you can easily, things that remain, something you can easily remember.
Yes.
You understand? So when you want to apply it, you can easily do that. And we have involved step-by-step processes of how to have the value conversation.
Demo conversation.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and the value conversation is one very, 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 very vital part of the course. I mean, you just have to, well, of course, everything builds up to that point. The value conversation is where you really, really discuss the price, how to discuss the price, you understand? So I've broken it down into very simple steps on how to go about that. So your conversation comes out as very natural. And we also used, sample, like you said, demo conversations, sample questions and statements, you understand? That you can modify basically or mimic to suit your own scenario. You understand? Not only that, as much as possible, we understand that it's very important we are working on audiovisual mode of delivery. So we're not just describing it, most of the calculations, because we're talking about prices, mathematics. So we have, not everybody's too good at math, so we made it very easy for people to follow through and not saying how did we get from year to day. You understand? Everything is clearly stated on the screen. You understand? And the screen is very, it's quite interactive. You have seen how you understand. So it's not just this boring white screen, text on screen, you understand? It's quite interactive, you understand? And we particularly decided to use words that, on one end, improve your vocabulary, on the other end, does not, and it's not too ambiguous. So, I mean, you're not exactly watching the video with a dictionary with you. You understand? So you can easily pick up some words to improve your vocabulary, which is very essential because as a creative service provider, you are running a business, and business has language. You understand? So you know words that pretty much embody the language of business. You understand? And so I have to chip this in. It's very important as a graphic designer. You treat your as a service provider, basically, you treat your job or profession, as a business. It's very important. You understand? That's pretty much where your mindset, after your mindset has to change. You understand, and improve on, basically. Not only that, our sources are tried and tested by experts. You understand, with tons of results. And their methods, interestingly, to a very large extent, guarantees efficiency and productivity, basically. So, regarding the content, basically, of the course, we addressed the questions creative service providers have. Questions, not only questions, also ideas that pretty much motivate them to craft their prices the way they did. And yes, we mentioned value proposition, which is basically how creative services should present themselves. Understand? So it's like that silent thing they say to their customers that tells them, okay, this is what I'm capable of doing. Understand? So we also talked about the D's of value, and under that we talked about value differentiation, value discovery, value delivery, and we went as far as discussing how to craft options for value options, understand, and bundling, basically, and then we went into price to understand what exactly is price, and the value options you have created. You understand, you're presenting your customer with different options. How do you set the price for each options? You understand, and we not just did that, we talked about the psychology of price, you understand, and how to communicate price, you understand, and then we went into the two most efficient ways of setting the price, which was where the idea of value-based pricing comes into play, and details of the process from the beginning right onto the end. You understand? And right on the point where you pretty much give your customers their proposal, your proposal, basically. I mean, okay, this is how I'll be doing for you, and this is the price it will be. Do you understand? And
did we also talk about risk?
Yes, we talked about risk. And risk plays a very interesting role when it comes to pricing. It has this very strong ability to change the narrative of how the price looks like in the end, because it determines how much your price increases or decreases, basically. You understand? And so that's basically the summary of what the course is about.
So guys, this is it. You got all about it from Joshua, right? This is the course you need to increase your profits exponentially as a creative service provider. Enough of being underpaid for the quality of value that you actually provide through your services. It is time for your prices to match your value. And this course has simplified everything, broken it down, giving you the practical steps. This is the course you need to see price and value for what they truly are. Deliver value that satisfies your customers' needs, and set a price that justifies the value you have delivered. So if you're a creative service provider and you don't have this course, you are missing out big time. So go and get your copy of the course, take the course, practice the principles that you learned in the course till you get very good at it. The more you practice, the better you get at it. So there you go, guys. I'm Simon.
And I'm Joshua.
We'll see you in the course.